Good evening to all of you connected with us at this moment. We are Trans-Species Collective, an intersectional platform to transcend interspecies barriers with the aid of imagination. Our VR game production, Batopia, a game that lets you become a bat, was researched and developed across 3 years. In the narrative tour, you can expect a deepening introduction to Batopia's creative journey in 5 parts: on Umwelt and Metaverse, on active sensing, on perception of movement, on singers of songs, and finally on art, animal, and becoming. The animal body is the first metaverse, each with its unique senses and somatic exchange. The animal's lived experience is a metaverse of pulses, a portal to a greater world that cannot be watered down to mere physical explanations, but abound with consciousness, body's faculties, and states of being. This greater world is called Umwelt, the subjective world perceived by a particular living being based on their unique sensory and cognitive abilities. Because a wide variety of sensory modalities in non-human animals are lacking among us humans, the marvels, intelligence, and challenges of a more than human Umwelt may be inaccessible, furthering our psychological distance from non-human planetary beings. Just as Thomas Nagel brings forth in his book, What Is It Like to Be a Bat? It is impossible to really know what it is like because of the gap between our human body and that of a bat. Virtual reality, and the metaverse that it implies, fulfills this gap of affect by providing different versions of the world, different versions of dynamic energy exchange with our environment, and different versions of the self. VR is perhaps the closest relative to experiences of trance, gaining a vision into the natural world's alternative functioning, enhancing our interconnections with other life forms in this world. Initiated in 2022, Batopia started with an idea of exploring bats as a sentient being, when the bat's reputation was globally at its lowest due to COVID-19. Created over 3 years by our team of interaction designers and researchers who meander between physical and virtual worlding, Batopia simulates a bat's sensory umwelt in conceptual, technological, and imaginative lenses to immerse the player in the world of another animal whose sensory modalities are very different from ours. The process relies on an intersectional integration between gaming interaction, animal behavior, art, and philosophy, and involves the application of trans-sensory mapping, which maps the salient sense of one onto the salient sense of another. For the bat, their salient sense is hearing. A bat not only communicates but demarcates a real-time 3D world out of sound production and reception. For us, our world is what it looks like. For bats, their world has been sounds-like. In Batopia, sound becomes a visual landscape. You are now entering the universe of becoming other. How bats use echolocation is key to the foundation of Batopia's interactive design. After consultations with bat behavior scientist Dr. Miriam Nornschild, we decide to use the most straightforward way to habituate you to the bat mode. The bat relies on a process known as active sensing to navigate its environment and find food. This involves continuously emitting ultrasonic signals and analyzing the returning echoes to perceive the world around it. You must emit a call and must repeatedly emit in order to gain a spatial understanding of your surroundings. This simple mechanism simulates active sensing in bats, where pulse modulation maps onto the variation of frequency, duration, and intensity of their echolocating pulses. By sensing the time delay and frequency shifts of the echoes, the bat achieves spatial and depth perception. It senses intuitively, Just while emitting sounds and sensing, your mind maintains a real-time, three-dimensional awareness of your surroundings, as intuitive as the way humans, while opening their eyes, achieve a real-time spatial and depth understanding. The mode of active sensing is a dynamic way of worlding, a kind of active, shifting demarcation, exemplifying an artistic production process of order organizing chaos, as described by philosopher Elizabeth Grosz in her book Chaos, Territory, Art. The bat spends most of its waking energies foraging, but they rely mostly on hearing to perceive movement. With pulse modulation, shorter pulses with greater intensities happen at moments of stronger focus, where the bat's depth and movement perception enhances. Batopia simulates this by having you make briefer, denser echoes in order to localize your sight to what's forward, which gives you advantages during a prey chase. This simulates the dynamic adjustment of the bat, depending on the complexities of their environment. You experience a sharpening visual field when you localize your attention and act by modulating your echolocating pulses. The prey chase is divided into phases. All phases are accompanied by real echolocation recordings of Greater Sac-Winged Bats provided by Der Miriam Nornschild, adapted and engineered to achieve an enriched spectrum. The bat's sound production is not only a functional, but also an artistic and creative process. Bats sing. There is enjoyment, and there is cultural inheritance known as dialects. Dr. Nornschild's research on bat dialects, bat babbling that resembles human language acquisition, and courtship songs all indicate that bats, like us humans, can perceive musicality and be attracted by the acoustic beauty produced by other bats. The understanding that non-human beings too sing songs, and they too can enjoy songs, is essential to awaken humans to cast aside our arrogance and supremacy. We differ in degree, not in kind. Batopia is a playground that is meta-artistic. It is an artistic VR production which tells you a story about a non-human animal adept at producing rhythmic ultrasonic pulses that have an artistic dimension that goes beyond mere natural selection. Bats are singers of songs, troubadours. Art emerges from living beings. To translate the idea that males are musical beacons on their territories, we use the original recordings, but we allow you to immersively feel that those songs are beautiful. We visualize each beacon into a dynamic firework from analysis of the enriched spectrum of the original male songs from field recordings. These vocalizations create a territory in the sonic landscape, establishing their presence in this world and organizing the nocturnal world into mutually understandable territories. Art emerges from the dynamic interactions between living beings and their environments, as Elizabeth Grosz argues, marking and creating territories. Grosz is among the first to point out the direct relation between sensation on a biological foundation and art, a revelation that dwarfs all narratives of dichotomy between human and non-human, between the primal and the civilized. Batopia resonates with Grosz in profound ways. Aside from the main quest after moths, one of the major game features of Batopia is the wonder and exploration of your environment and encounters with singer bats, with their visualized sonic landscapes. It awakens in us the need for exploration, for sensory saturation, which also comes from the animal part of us, our instinct. Batopia is a very primal immersion, and its further development aims to stay primal, evoking our animal side and allowing us to feel interconnected with other planetary neighbors. The concept of becoming other in virtual reality is a tangible, embodied experience that can lead to increased intuition, empathy, and sensory faculties, challenging the linear mind's understanding of mutability and science and shapeshifting as opposite poles. Art is linked to the territorial behaviors of animals, where marking territory involves not just physical boundaries, but also sensory and aesthetic dimensions. This territoriality transforms raw sensory data into meaningful artistic expressions. The need for exploration of the unknown, empathy, and connection is what drives us to enter other worlds, senses open, to offer ourselves to another imaginary character. Traditional indigenous practices deal with the body-cosmos connection similarly with mass dance. In Tibetan traditions, the abbot and monks put on sacred animal masks and practice cham dance during many festivals such as Losar. Masks facilitate the immediate transformation into another persona, another social and ecological role, and thus dissolves individualism and connects us to the greater world of many wonders and responsibilities. So, what is the meaning of making a game like Batopia? For us, a team of artists, interaction designers, and technologists with an entanglement with the environment, Batopia's development is a journey of learning, no less than the learning of our ancestors from animals. For players, Batopia is an immersion of becoming animal, where your delight in exploring our differences with the aid of imagination only makes you realize our kinship is closer than imagined. The creation of Batopia is also our indulgence in bringing forth new and unique interactions, 3D adventure games, and eyes to see the world with. As anthropologist Eduardo Viveros de Castro noticed, a perspective is more than a point of view. It is a possibility of becoming. Follow Batopia's evolution on our Instagram account at Transspecies Collective. Keep up with our release of further features and levels. Stay tuned.